Okay, this is a little presentation about Google Analytics. What is it, why is it important, and how is it used? My name is Sam Evers. I'm a web developer from Texas, and I am currently working at CoderBunker as a resident developer. So Google Analytics, what is it? It's an online service that allows you to track activity on your website. It's important because it allows you to track data, or collect data rather, and it allows website owners to track where users are backing out of certain processes. Like if you have a form, it lets you know when users are backing out of the form. So to use Google Analytics, you need a website and you need a Google Analytics account. You register your domain at Google Analytics, and Google Analytics gives you a tracking ID, represented here with this red box. From there, you somehow embed the tracking ID into your website. So with iport.sg, we actually, it just strikingly has a service, as you can see, where you can just paste your Google Analytics tracking ID into this field. So it's very easy. If not, you would have to actually put the ID into the code somewhere. Once you do that, you get all these cool graphs and interesting pieces of information, like active users now, users by time of day, bounce rate. This over here is the rate at which users come to your site and then immediately leave. So it's interesting data. You get sessions by country. You can get users, sessions by device, and you can also track what pages users actually visit on your site. So if you want to go a little bit deeper with it, you have to go into goals, events, and triggers. A goal is basically something that you want your user to do on your site. So if you sell something on your site, you want your users to hit the Buy Now button. You want them to actually pay for something. And there are other examples of goals. An event is the actual button click itself. So if you set your goal as the Buy Now button, the button click is the event that represents the goal. So normally, let's say you have a website called www.tshirt.com. So this would be a flow where the goal is this Buy Now button over here. So you can track in various ways. You can track this whole flow. You can track the button clicks here, here, and here. You can track those. You can also track the actual pages, www.tshirt.com, tshirt.com/sizes, and tshirt.com/billing. With Google Analytics, you can track whether or not users are visiting sizes and then backing out of the process. They're saying, we want to buy this t-shirt, so we go to the sizes page, and we think it's too confusing, so we back out of the process. We don't actually make it to the goal, which is the Buy Now button. Google Analytics allows you to track these things in many different ways, so you can understand where users are backing out of this process. You can also use Google Tag Manager to send event hits to Google Analytics, but we did not really do that. We did it a different way. So once we had our tracking ID embedded into our site, there was a button on our website that was already being tracked automatically by Google Analytics, so we didn't have to do any customization for that. But with our site, we had an embedded Google form that had a button on it. So Google Analytics wasn't actually tracking this button because the embedded form is a separate entity from the website. And strangely enough, Google Analytics and Google Forms don't really work very well together. So what we did is we set up something called Google App Scripts to run a function on a trigger, which is this button click, the form submit button click. So when this function runs, it sends event data to Google Analytics. So Google Apps Scripts is something that you can use to customize Google Sheets, Google Forms, or Google Docs. It allows you to write JavaScript custom code for these things. So in our case, we have a function running when a certain button is clicked on a form. So to get Google Apps Scripts from the form, you just click this settings button, you go down to script editor, and it launches this. If you did it, you wouldn't actually see all this code here. We actually wrote this code, but that's how you get to the script editor. So what happens is this function, notification of form submit, gets triggered when somebody clicks the submit button on the form. When that happens, the payload gets sent to this URL, googleanalytics.com/collect. So you can see options get sent. In options, there's the payload, and then this is the payload, which is the actual event hit. It has our client ID, it has our tracking ID. This is the event category, which is a form. This is the event action, which is submit. And this is the event label, which is form submit. Oops. So the way you get the function to run is called a trigger. So this notification of form submit right here is this function right here. So this function gets run when on form submit. So when somebody submits the form, that function runs. And when the function runs, it sends the event hit to Google Analytics. Shoyu is a nice girl who came to Coder Bunker and talked to us about startups. And she said you need to craft a falsifiable hypothesis statement, which is basically just a fancy way of saying you need to test your assumptions. So we believe that blank will achieve blank, right? We will know we are right when blank happens. So in the case of iport, it's like, we believe that people want to send love to other people, and so we believe that if we have a website that does that, people will actually use it. And we'll know that that's true if we set up this website and people actually start using it. So Google Analytics makes this easy to test, and it makes it easy to collect data about your experiment. So if you've ever had a good idea, you eventually realize that you're assuming something. In the case of iport, like I just said, we assume that people want to send love packages to the people they care about. At Coder Bunker, we assume that we can attract people to the space when people visit our site. I have a yoga background personally, so I have thought about making a yoga website, so I assume that yoga practitioners and newbies actually would use a website and they want an online resource that they can visit to learn about yoga and how to be a better teacher or a better student. So, does Google Analytics work in China? Yes, it does. It's slightly more difficult to set up while you're in China, but the service itself will work in China. But if not, there's Baidu Analytics, which works in China. So Google Analytics can also be a crucial part of search engine optimization, which we started to get to, but we haven't really gotten deep into yet. So some people say if you can't measure it, you can't improve it, which may be true. Google Analytics has something called the organic search channel, which can be useful in search engine optimization. Assisted conversions report, identifying slow loading page times, which is a major factor in search rankings. And Google Analytics, like we saw earlier, has an easy-to-read dashboard with various statistics and customizable widgets that are really easy to understand. So it's easy to see who's visiting your site, when it's being visited, what devices, like we saw earlier. Okay, and that is Google Analytics and search engine optimization. Hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions, please ask me. Thank you so much.